Hi, everybody. Welcome to the LA Strong Return and Rebuild Community Briefing series hosted by Mayor Karen Bass and a lot of people from the city, the county, the state, and the federal government all here to support you. We are very grateful for you to tune in tonight and spend a little bit of time with us. We appreciate all that you bring to this, including questions, as well as feedback for us. We invite you to ask questions along the way tonight through the Q&A function in webinar. You can find that at the bottom of your screens, Q&A with a question mark bubble. If you don't see that, press the More button at the bottom of your screen, and then you'll be able to ask questions in the Q&A button once you click on that. We also have interpretation available for all those who are interested in American Sign Language or closed captioning. We have both options available for you. In order to access the American Sign Language and closed captioning, you can click on the globe that says interpretation at the bottom of your screen and then select American Sign Language. In order to reach the closed captioning or to access that, you can click on the link, the bit.ly link that is now in your chat. And then after a brief delay, you will be able to see the closed captioning. Next slide. An overview of tonight's presentation. First, we're going to do a brief review of our 2-month update. And this is about 2 months since the fires broke out on January 7th. So we want to share with you some key updates over the course of the last 2 months and some great progress that's been made. Additionally, we will have LADWP provide exciting updates regarding water restoration. Then we will have the Bureau of Engineering provide an update on debris removal, hillside, and mudslide mitigation. Next, Streets LA will provide an update on urban forestry and trees. Then we will have LA Sanitation speak briefly about sewers, watershed, and service delivery, followed by our partners at the state of California. Engage California will provide an update on what that program is and how you can go ahead and sign up for it. All right, so I said we were going to start with some exciting updates in terms of 2 months progress. Well, first of all, as you all know, we do have debris removal moving at a very historic pace, probably record-setting. In fact, the fastest hazardous material clearing in EPA's history. And so we want to celebrate that. Phase 1 is done. And we are moving fully into phase 2 in the Palisades. We're excited and appreciative of our federal partners and moving resources so quickly so that we could clear the household hazardous materials and complete as much as we could in phase 1. We also know that some houses and properties were delayed or deferred to phase 2. And so we are working very closely with our county and our federal partners to get phase 2 moving as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. Many homes have already moved into phase 2, and we're excited to report on that a little later in this series or in this webinar tonight. We also have a record rate of utility restoration for standing homes. We're very excited to say that there are only just a little over 100 homes that still need power restored. And the water, we'll have exciting news in just a couple of slides on water for the entire Palisades. We also have provided assistance and protections to fire survivors in centers across Los Angeles. We have multiple centers open, from our disaster recovery center to 4 impacted worker centers, in addition to centers providing one-stop rebuilding support, and a new utilities center opened at the Pacific Palisades Rec Center. Further, we've reinforced burn areas time and time again as we experience rain like we did today, and we will keep doing that to make sure that we protect all the communities and neighborhoods. And of course, we've delivered tax relief to impacted businesses, making sure through the mayor's executive order that businesses have that tax relief, especially those that have been directly impacted by the fires. We look forward to continue delivering these exciting results, accelerating progress in terms of the rebuild, and we look forward to continuing to do that in a way that is driven by community and in partnership with all of you. We're appreciative for you to continue to tune in to these webinars, and we appreciate your feedback about what topics we should be tackling next. With that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our partners at the LA Department of Water and Power, our Director of Water Quality, Jonathan Leong.
Okay, thank you, Jenny, and good evening, everyone. So thank you for allowing us a quick opportunity to give you an update on the water quality restoration. And as shown, my name is Jonathan Leong. Next slide, please. So this evening, we have a pretty exciting announcement for everyone, and that is effective tomorrow, we will be lifting the do not drink notice that has been impacting the Palisades area since January 10th. So we really thank everyone for their patience. We know this has been very trying and creates a lot of inconvenience. We did work hard and plan very hard to develop a comprehensive testing plan in coordination with the Division of Drinking Water and their wildfire experts that have looked at previous wildfires throughout the states. We have completed that extensive sampling plan, and I think we're all assessed the results and have been able to conclude that we're able to meet all drinking water standards and that now it is once again safe to use your tap water. So thanks again for your patience. We will be lifting for the entire area effective tomorrow, and we will be providing various notifications, which I will show on the next page. Next slide, please. So yes, this will be the formal notification that you can access on our website. It's kind of a regulatory type language, but we will be lifting. Last time when we did a partial lift, it was the area east of the Temescal Canyon and south of Bester Boulevard. So just to clarify, this opens up all remaining areas. And probably the graphic that we showed you is probably easier to understand than the map as far as the areas, but just very simple to say all areas are now open. We will be doing some door-to-door door hangers to distribute tomorrow and Saturday. We think this is important, again, because not everyone has the same communication preferences. So we want to make sure that those that aren't connected to the website or getting their news from various news releases or media, that this is also made directly available to them. Our website is a location where we will try to post relevant information, give, again, the statistics and the results, summary results of all the testing, also have important tips on how to flush your home as you return back and use that water. For those that subscribe to DWP notification systems, again, you can get automatic emails or phone calls. So we appreciate those that have signed up for that. We will be providing briefings for all of our call center staff. So when people call 1-800-DWP, if they have questions on that, they would also get that notification. So let's go to the next slide, please. So the door hangers, and again, this is what it looks like front and back, but I think there's some important information I wanted to spend a minute just going over with you. We do highly encourage everyone to flush their plumbing. What that does is bring fresh water. Anything that has been stagnated, that water quality can deteriorate over time. So if you haven't been using your water or the home for a while, definitely encourage folks to flush. You're going to want to remove your aerators or filter systems before you do that. You're going to target flushing each fixture for about 10 minutes. Because you're trying to get any type of water out of your system, start with the outside of your home before you go inside. Start from being closest to the meter and then work your way back. Once you're inside, again, work your way from the points that are closest to the meter and then to the back, going from the first floor to the second floor. And you want to flush with cold water first before hot water. Don't expect all of you to absorb this at once. If you or your neighbors, anyone has questions, please feel free to contact our water quality customer care team at that phone number listed, and we can definitely walk you through those steps. Okay, next slide, please. So what are the next steps? After lifting the do not drink order, we're not just going to walk away. We do know that there will be ongoing monitoring for the wildfire-related contaminants, those type of things as benzene and other volatile organic compounds. But we will be sampling on a regular basis throughout the distribution system, again, just to keep positive assurance that everything is continues to be in a great working condition. We will be doing some flushing in the pipe network with the lower percentage of people occupying homes. There is some water circulation issues. We want to make sure everyone has fresh water in the pipelines. We've also noticed that sometimes where we have pipe cul-de-sacs or system boundaries, those are areas we want to, again, focus on some flushing and testing there too. And then one of the things we've been happy to do now that we're through this phase of it, we can open up some of our staff to do more customer-centric type testing. So I think we have a very unique program here where we offer free water quality testing to any customer that asks. In case you're curious, doing a VOC panel at a commercial lab runs about $200 to run in a precise method, but we do offer that to our customers for free. So contact us there. There is a little bit of a procedure to do that. So again, we make that available to everybody. But if you want to know with confidence exactly the condition of the tap water at your home, please take advantage of that and contact us. And I think that's about it. And we can have room for questions at the end of this presentations later today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jonathan, and the entire DWP team. Very exciting news that all of the do not drink orders will be lifted as of tomorrow, March 7th, and we appreciate all the good work as well as the education about what to do in your own home. Please follow those instructions and reach out to DWP through the internet or through the phone if you have any questions. Appreciate it. Without further ado, I'm going to invite our lead engineer for the City of Los Angeles, the manager of our Bureau of Engineering, Ted Allen. Please take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Quick update on private property debris removal. So as you heard earlier, the phase 1 work by EPA is complete. Although, as I think all of you know, some properties were deferred if they weren't able to safely access those sites. So those properties that were deferred will need to be completed as part of phase 2. Either that will be done by the Army Corps on the government-run program, or if you opt out, then you and your contractor would be responsible for that phase 1 work in phase 2. And as a reminder, or I think probably all of you know, but maybe some don't, county applications, the county is handling the application process for the phase 2 work, both opt-in and opt-out. And so that website is recovery.lacounty.gov. For those of you that were here with us on Tuesday, you heard quite a detailed update from them, but I want to give some updated numbers for the City of Los Angeles portion of the fire burn area. So we've had 2,774 properties opt in. 736 of those have been transmitted by the county to the U.S. Army Corps to start that phase 2 work. And as we heard from the county on Tuesday, they've hired a lot more staff to process those much quickly. So we're seeing the numbers go up very quickly. Keep an eye out. If you haven't heard from them, keep an eye out to watch for those communications that may come from the county if they have follow-up questions. And we're expecting to see the first final property sign-offs coming back from the Army Corps back to the county to start that completion process to mark the property clean starting next week. And that would then clear you to finalize your building permit process with the site marked clean by the county. Oops. Okay. On the opt-out, we've had 429 properties opt out. 82 of those have had permits issued by the county. The rest are in process. Just as a reminder, if you had opted out and you change your mind and wish you had opted in, you can still do that as long as you haven't, even if you've received the permit, but as long as you haven't touched the debris, as long as you haven't removed the debris, shifted it, you can change your mind, go back to the county website, fill out the opt-in form and go through that process. And you have until March 31st to opt into this program. So next slide. As far as hillside mudslide mitigation, we're the Department of Public Works, so we're mainly working in the public right-of-way to help protect the public right-of-way and your properties and the environment. And so here's some things that we've done to help protect. We've cleared over 2,000 cubic yards of mud. That's through our partner, the Bureau of Street Services, and over 10,000 sandbags placed, over 10,000 linear feet of K-rail have been placed, over 1,000 square feet of tarps, and over 4 miles of different streets have been cleared of debris after the rains. Thankfully, it seems like the rainfall we had the last few days was not as bad as the prior storm, not as much debris came down, but every time it rains and in between every rain, we're constantly reassessing, checking all of these installations, seeing if more installations are needed, and we will continue to do that through the entire process, and there is more rain expected next week, as many of you've seen. So we were out today checking on things, trying to get ready for those. And there's a phone number, 800-675-4357, if you need to report something to the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. We really appreciate the presentation. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the tree portion of our webinar tonight, which will be presented by Ana Tabuena Reddy. I think I got it correct, from Streets LA. Ana.
Great. Good evening, everyone. The Urban Forestry Division has purview over protected trees and shrubs in private property and all street trees. We've created a webpage showing details on tree-related matters in the Palisades, which I will share at the end of this section of the presentation. Tonight, I'll just provide an overview. So for private property trees, there are no permits, fees, or replacement requirements for protected trees that are dead or damaged beyond recovery due to the fires. Although not required, we would encourage you to report any removals of these protected trees or shrubs to the Urban Forestry Division at the email address noted in this slide, so we may update the city's tree inventory, and there's an official record of tree loss due to the fire and not because of illegal removals. To find out if you have protected trees or shrubs, refer to the web link we will share in the following slides. In private property, only protected trees and shrubs are under the city's jurisdiction. If you have a rebuild proposal that is within 110% of your original building footprint, you are exempt from permits, fees, and the typical 4-to-1 replacement requirements. However, if your rebuild plans are over 110% of your original building size, you would have to adhere to the required permits, fees, and 4-to-1 replacement. We will expedite your request regardless. For regular requirements will apply for tree removals for properties within the burn area that do not require any debris removal because of the fires. Next slide, please. The Army Corps debris removal process, whether you opt in or out, only applies to private property. Street trees and any work within the public right-of-way will be managed separately by Streets LA's Urban Forestry Division. For dead or dying street trees, we will evaluate to see if trees are actually dead or dying and should be removed, or if they can recover and should remain. If they should be removed, we will schedule removals and our bureau will remove the trees. No further action is needed on your part. Alternatively, you have the option to hire a private contractor to remove a tree. However, it will be at your own expense and will not be reimbursed by the city. All regular requirements will be waived. For healthy street trees proposed to be removed, typical requirements will be imposed, such as fees and 2-to-1 replacement. Unless there is a driveway expansion or relocation associated with the rebuilds that are within 110% of the original building footprint. Street tree removals for properties not requiring debris removal will not be exempt from the typical clearances, permits, fees, and replacement requirements. Next slide. So many recognize the important benefits that trees provide, such as improved air quality and erosion, stormwater, and pollution control. The Army Corps has provided a tree waiver option to allow you to retain trees that have been marked with an X on your property by the Army Corps arborist. If you opted out of the Army Corps debris removal program, hiring an arborist is especially important, so they can help you identify protected tree species which are fire adapted. Some may appear dead but are actually alive. These trees may have a chance to recover from the fires. If you opted in, you may still hire an independent arborist to assess your trees for a second opinion. Once you have information from your arborist, the Army Corps has provided several opportunities to discuss tree preservation. First, when they contact you 3 days before beginning debris removal work. Second, when they contact you 1 day before debris removal work begins. And another time during the 360 walkthrough the day of the debris removal. They have also provided a hotline where you can get live assistance and it's not a recorded message. So if you don't feel comfortable sketching trees you would like to preserve in your right of entry form, these other opportunities to communicate trees you would like to preserve have been made available by the Army Corps. So this is a lot of information once you've come to an agreement with the Army Corps. Oh, next slide, please. Once you've come to an agreement with the Army Corps about the trees you'd like to retain, you can further protect these trees by creating what's called a tree protection zone to prevent damage to your trees during debris removal or when you rebuild. Additionally, we encourage you to choose to plant new trees to replace any trees that you have removed. This is all optional, though highly encouraged, so the Palisades can make up for the trees lost to the fires. The recommended replacement is 4-to-1 for private property and 2-to-1 for street trees. If there's not enough space in your property to plant a 4-to-1 replacement after you rebuild, we will be open to planting them in parkways within the Palisades. Again, this is a means to recover from the tree loss due to the fires and for trees to provide the benefits needed for healthy recovery. This is just a brief overview tonight, so any tree-related scenarios you may encounter, please don't hesitate to contact us via email, or if you prefer face-to-face conversation with our staff, we are at the One Stop Rebuilding Center. We've also created a story map with more detailed information to help you navigate through tree-related matters. And that's available in the QR code that you see on the screen there at the corner, and that will bring you to more detailed information. So with that, we thank you and support you in your rebuilding efforts.
Thank you so much, Anna. Really appreciate it. Next up, we have Julie Allen from the LA Sanitation Bureau.
Thank you, Jenny. Good evening. I'm here to share the activities of LA Sanitation and Environment and what we are doing to support the recovery process. So I'll start with the sewers. We are currently inspecting all of the sewer pipes within the burn areas that are vulnerable to fire damage, which includes about 28 miles of pipelines, and we've completed about 50% of the assessment so far. We've restored operations at all of our sewer pump stations that service the Palisades area. We have also created pool draining guidelines and posted them on the LA Sanitation and Environment website. And basically it provides guidelines depending on whether the residents opt in, opt out, or are not eligible for the Phase 2 government debris removal program. And it provides steps that you follow for draining the pool, including an online form or phone number that residents can use to request a reservation, so our staff can ensure capacity is available in the system to avoid sewer backups. To date, we have received 110 pool discharge reservations, and they have been authorized. For sewer connections, residents should be aware that when they are rebuilding, the contractor will have to reconnect to their sewer line. In many cases, it might be capped by, sorry, it was back on the sewer slide. It's expected to be capped by Army Corps as part of Phase 2, or if they opted out, the contractor may have capped the sewer connection. All right, next slide, please. For watershed, the city's watershed hazard mitigation task force has been developed to implement measures that protect life, property, and the environment. As Ted pointed out earlier, we have implemented throughout the Palisades area stormwater control structures to protect roads and downstream properties from mud flow and debris. The city is also cleaning out our 18 debris basins in the Palisades area, and those allow mud flow and debris to collect in these debris basins and allow the water to flow through so that the debris and mud doesn't flow downstream. Sorry, lost lighting. Lastly, for the watershed, we are maintaining the stormwater protection measures that Cal OES and the California Conservation Corps implemented throughout the Palisades area to capture the pollutants and contaminants from the fire from getting into the storm drain system. So the city will be maintaining all of those protection measures that the state placed around our catch basins. And then we are also participating in the sampling of stormwater, ocean water, and sediment to analyze for fire-related contaminants, as well as beach cleanup task forces. Next slide, please. As far as our trash service, we have resumed all of the normal service in the Palisades area. That is on Tuesdays. For small items that have been damaged, or for ash that is on properties, you can double bag those items and place them in your black bins, and they'll be picked up as part of the trash service. And if you have larger items that do not fit in the black bin, residents can contact our customer service to request bulky item pickup, and that will also occur on the regular trash day. So you can call the 800 number that's on the screen or use my LA 311 to request the bulky item pickup. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate your time and all of the good information, and of course, all of the great work that the LA Sanitation Bureau is doing on the ground every day. I'd also like to introduce one of our state partners, Jeffrey Marino, the Director of the Office of Data and Innovation, to talk about Engaged California, an exciting new partnership between the city, the county, and the state. Jeffrey.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey Marino. I'm the Director of the Office of Data and Innovation. And I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity to share some information about a new program recently launched by the state called Engaged California. Next slide, please. Our vision is to enable constructive dialogue that leads to consensus and action. The purpose of this program is to create a space for Californians to tell their government what they need as one voice. Next slide, please. Engaged California was built based on the principles of inclusion, belonging, transparency, ethics, and objective information sharing. This is not another social media platform. It is a safe digital space to gather and drive positive outcomes for your community. Next slide. This is a simplified version of how a deliberation works. And so I want to provide a brief example of how it actually worked in Taiwan. Taiwan was an early adopter of this deliberative democracy model, and Uber wanted to open business in Taiwan, and their presence there was extremely controversial. Taiwan opened a deliberative platform similar to the one we are using here in California. And among the many topics discussed, they presented a key policy proposal. They said Uber should be allowed to operate in Taiwan, and it should be regulated the same exact way as the taxi industry. Through this exercise, they found that there was a very high level of consensus that the people of Taiwan did want Uber to operate there, but opinions were still very split over exactly how to regulate them. This led to further conversations on the platform, which were then synthesized by the program running the deliberation and then shared with the Taiwanese government, who responded directly to the policy recommendations made by the public. Next slide, please. Okay, so why is this important for you? Next slide. The state, city, and county are coming together to connect, listen, and understand what LA survivors need the most. Through Engaged California, we want you to have influence on how your block, your neighborhood, and city are rebuilt. And more importantly, we want recovery to happen in the most equitable way possible. Next slide, please. Our program just launched a few weeks ago. We are engaging with members of the communities impacted by the fires to encourage folks to join the conversation. We need your help sharing this with your friends, family, and neighbors, so that together we can set up a comprehensive agenda of topics that are most important to you. Once we have enough interest from a representative group of community members, we will open the platform and send invitations to set the agenda and then deliberate on policy issues ranging from debris removal, permitting, social infrastructure needs, issues involving your physical and mental well-being, and really anything that's most important to you and your community. We'll synthesize the results and share publicly to drive action from your government to better support you in the rebuilding and recovery efforts. The link on the next slide is, well, actually, this is a slide that shows how to sign up. And we have a link on the next slide that shows a QR code. If you want to take out your camera, snap that QR code, it'll take you directly to that sign up page where you can sign up to stay informed about future deliberations. You can sign up specifically to show interest in deliberations either on the Eaton or Palisades fires. And we'll also put a link in the chat that you can follow in order to sign up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We look forward to continuing to build out the Engaged California program and getting lots of signups so that we can have a real productive dialogue with everybody in the Palisades about what you all need and how we can best respond. With that, we'll go ahead and go to the next couple of slides. As a reminder, we have a series of deadlines coming up, folks. March 10th is the deadline to apply for FEMA assistance, again, up to $43,600 for housing assistance and various other types of financial assistance and rental assistance. Please do sign up at disasterassistance.gov, or you can call the number here on the screen or visit the Disaster Recovery Center at Westwood and Pico to get help in with your application. We also have SBA loans. Again, these loans are not just for small businesses, even though it is called the Small Business Administration. Nonprofits residents are able to apply for home loans. We hope that you do apply for low interest loans, again, to homeowners, renters, businesses, and nonprofits in LA County who experienced property damage because of the fires. You're welcome to go to sba.gov/disaster to apply, or you can visit the Disaster Recovery Center where the SBA is on site. Again, that's at Westwood and Pico, and the hours are 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Next slide. March 12th, we have another set of deadlines. The LA Region Small Business Relief Fund. Again, this is a city-county relief fund. You can apply if you're a small business who has experienced some economic distress due to the fires. Please do apply. We'd love for as many people as possible to get their applications in by the deadline so you can qualify. Additionally, if you are an impacted worker, you may have worked at a business within the fire zones or at a home within the fire zone. If you are a worker, an employee of any business or residence that has been impacted by the fires, you and other fellow employees and your colleagues are able to apply, and you can apply in person at one of our 4 impacted worker centers, or you can apply online at the website that is in the chat and on your screen. Last but not least, we have the LA County Household Relief Grant. This is for residents. So if you're a resident and you need additional assistance beyond what your insurance or what FEMA is able to provide, you are welcome to apply. Again, the deadline is March 12th. Next slide. And last but not least, our final deadline tonight is March 31st. Again, that is the deadline to apply for your right of entry or to fill the forms out for your right of entry to opt in to the Army Corps of Engineer Private Property Debris Removal Program, and also to submit your opt-out forms. Please do complete those documents by March 31st. Next slide. An exciting event in person is happening, or 2 events coming up. You're welcome to attend either of these. This Saturday, March 8th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara will be hosting an in-person workshop with free confidential services and advice from the Insurance Commissioner's office, as well as the FAIR Plan. We know that many people have questions and concerns about the FAIR Plan. They will be on site, as well as other insurance companies. Please join this Saturday at the Skirball Center from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Next Saturday, March 15th, there will be another session. It is in Pasadena at John Muir High School, again, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we hope that you will be able to visit and get all the support that you need. You can also call their 800 number at any point in time during normal hours, 800-927-4357. Again, these are happening in-person events here in Los Angeles for you this Saturday as well as next Saturday. Next slide. And right after this webinar, we have another town hall, virtual town hall, that is being hosted by LA County Department of Public Health. There are many questions that we receive through this webinar on a regular basis about air and soil and water assessment and how to keep yourself safe, whether you have a standing home or whether you have a home that may have been burned in the fire. You are going to find valuable information on this webinar, which begins just after this one at 6 p.m. tonight, Thursday, March 6th. You're welcome to sign up or just go to the link that is provided in the chat space and also tinyurl.com/postfiretownhall. With that, I'm going to move to Q&A, and I'm going to start with some basic questions for our water folks. So Jonathan from DWP, if you could come on. We have a question about how long will water testing be offered? This is a question from Liza Samuels.
Okay. Hi, Liza. We actually offer that as an ongoing program for all of our customers. So I know, for example, in today's presentation, there were mentioned a lot of important deadlines for people to take notice of, but there is no deadline for that program. So feel free to contact us whenever you're ready, and we'll come out and provide the assistance either on the phone or come to the site visit or do that free water quality testing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. We do have another question that I think may be answered by yourself and potentially our Army Corps folks and maybe even LA County. The question is, how will phase 2 debris cleanup affect water quality? Jonathan, do you want to take a stab at it? And then, of course, Colonel Saucer, if you're able to add anything to that question, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's probably good because there's multiple elements to consider. But as far as the potable water system, the one that brings water to your taps, that should not have much effect. Our system is now pressurized. It's been stable with pressure since January 17th. So that's a very important consideration, because what that means is that any of those environmental activities that are going on, those are going to be kept out of our pipe network because of the pressurization that is in our pipe. So that's important factor number one. And also that we have a chlorine residual, so that if there's any type of bacteriological activity, that would be inactivated. But I think, again, it would be cautious on how you operate and do the cleanup, and I'll turn that over to others. But as far as the potable water system, it should be fine.
Thank you, Jonathan. And
Yeah.
Colonel Saucer?
Yeah, appreciate the question, and thank you for the setup. We actually work hand in hand with DWP in the Palisades region and additional water companies throughout all the fire impacted areas. And so when you look at utilities, for every single parcel and every property, we do a lockout tag out with the utility company to ensure not only that we're not going to damage the existing system, but that also that flow of water to that property is indeed not going to be affected. So with utilities and the infrastructure of Los Angeles, that's a very deliberate process for every parcel that we do clear. Additionally, what I would say is that during the debris removal process, we will implement erosion control methodology to include hydromulching and wattles around the property. And then we also provide a hydromulching on top of the soil at the conclusion of the debris removal process to stabilize those soils and to keep them in place. So I think those touch a little bit on water quality. I can certainly get into the procedures that we follow for debris removal, but I think for the purposes of the question, it's really getting after protecting the infrastructure and preventing erosion runoff.
Thank you, Colonel. Appreciate that. Okay, we do have, as always, questions regarding to power. So I'm going to invite John Vanacore from DWP to also come on the screen. John, we have a question from Robert Moore, and he's asking, will DWP replace all power poles with underground power? And how do I get my pole power but underground for fire safety? So do people need to request that? Is that happening? How can we alleviate some of those concerns? John.
Okay, thank you for having me. I do want to tell you that right now we do have temporary power poles up to feed the power to the homes that are still standing. I apologize for my voice. I have horrible allergies today. We are going 100% underground. That is the commitment. We are moving that direction. No request is needed. We are going that direction.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go now to some questions for our tree expert, Anna. So first off, Anna, there's a question regarding the markings on parkway trees. Some have X's and some have equal signs. Could you please explain those markings?
Sure. So those markings were, if they were white, they were left by the EPA. And if they are blue, they were left by the Army Corps of Engineers. So depending on the tree symbology that you see there, they are marked for either, if there's an X, that means that their arborists deemed it as a hazard for their workers. So it's only for situational awareness for their workers. And if there is an X with an arrow, that means it's just a branch or a limb that's a hazard, considered a hazard. There's other signs that they've put there, and we've put them in our website so you can see them. And you are welcome to have your own arborist do a second opinion on these markings if you want to retain certain trees. But all the information that you need in terms of those markings are available in the EPA website, the Army Corps website, as well as our own website. And we can provide the links to ours so that you can see all the symbology and the meaning of each of them and the options that you have in terms of tree removals and tree preservation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, so we have some questions regarding sanitation. One question for Julie from our Sanitation Bureau is, if our house has burned down, will we still be charged for trash collection?
Thank you, Jenny. As you know, the trash and sewer are collected by DWP under the same DWP water and power bill. And we've been working with DWP, and those houses that are burned down are not receiving any billing for any of those services. So as far as we know, that will be at least until July 1st, that there will be no collections on any of the homes. And then we'll continue to work with DWP after that point for the remaining homes that are still not rebuilt.
Thank you very much. So no need to pay your trash fees, everybody. We appreciate the question. Next, we have a question from Donna Vaccarino. She is asking, will the sewer lines be replaced in the alphabet streets and other highly incarcerated areas?
So as I mentioned during my presentation, we are going through and inspecting all of our sewer lines, as well as storm drain lines throughout the Palisades area. So if we find any damage, we will replace the line, but we won't replace lines just if they are still in good condition. So anything in the public right of way, we are inspecting and will replace as needed. Anything in the private properties would have to be replaced by the resident. We wouldn't be inspecting or replacing those.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing another question falls into our public health realm. I believe Dr. Davis is on from the Department of Public Health. Dr. Davis, do you mind coming on video? Okay, we see you now. Excellent. So there are a few questions in regards to standing homes and how do we know when it's safe to return to our standing homes in regards to the various toxins that may be there. How do we remediate if our home is near homes that were burned? How can you help us? Because we need guidance and clarity. Maybe you could talk about the town hall that's coming up next, as well as any further guidance for the residents who are concerned about standing homes and potential toxicity.
Sure. Let me start with that last part. So we do have up on our frequently asked questions, we have questions categorized according to where you may be, like if your property is in the fire damaged area or just outside of it, or really further away. So we do have guidance around how to go in, assess your property, and what to do in terms of cleaning up, the precautions to take as well. And if you do go back once you clean up, and as we know, we're still going through a lot of phase 2 debris cleanup, how to assess your property for potential ongoing risk. Basically looking outside of your home after things have been cleaned up to see how much soot or ash continues to build up on the outside of your property. But in either case, we did provide some specific guidance in terms of how to go in and do some cleanup. Now, I will say that depending on where your property was and what you walk into, it may be way more than you should handle yourself, and you may need some expert assessment in terms of doing that assessment and making recommendations on what to remediate. And I say that from the standpoint of you may have spaces, let's say up in an attic space or some insulation that may also have gotten some damage, and that requires some specialized expertise in terms of dealing with. So really look at what you walk into, and if it looks overwhelming, then consider asking for some professional help to do an assessment and do cleanup in terms of going back. Now, we have also stated that in general, there's always going to be some risk, especially if phase 2 is not complete, because we still have lots of debris as well as some ash that could be blown, in the area. And so until all of that is cleaned up, there are still some risks. But we've given information again on how to assess that, how to reduce that risk in terms of internal and external cleanup of your property if you're in that fire damaged area. So do look on our website under wildfires, and you will see some FAQs, again, specific to the geographic area that you are in based on the fire damaged area. Now, later on, we do have a town hall that's going to go over the assessment plan that was put up on our website some time ago. We recognize that there are a lot of academic, government institutions and others and even government agencies that are doing testing. And we wanted to try to create a location for people to be able to go to one place, see what's there, and get linked to information as it becomes available from those who are doing testing. And so we have that available on our assessment plan website. But the webinar tonight will go over, some of the information that's already been identified. It'll have some of the partners who've been doing some testing related to air, soil, and water in terms of what has been done thus far, and they'll share those insights and also take questions if those have been submitted, during the webinar and even beforehand as well.
Excellent. So if you are eager for information about public health, air quality, soil testing, and what you need to do to ensure that your standing home is going to be safe before you move back in, please do tune in to the County Public Health Department's Town Hall, which is happening in just about 12 minutes right after this, and we'll put that information into the chat. Thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Okay, we have a couple questions in regards to, as always, ROEs, right of entry forms and debris removal. So one question from Jacqueline Koskoff is, does a destroyed tennis court count when determining the need for an ROE? I think that generally that's, does the Army Corps program address tennis courts? I think that's what that means. And does an ROE need to be submitted specific for a tennis court? Colonel Saucer, could you answer that? And if County Public Works also has any further information about tennis courts, please also join in.
Yeah, so appreciate the question. Thank you very much. And we do get these questions quite often. So eligibility determination is made at the county level with FEMA on whether or not it would be eligible for what's called the private property debris removal program. That being said, a resident that was affected by the fire can absolutely submit an ROE. To the particulars about that ROE, I can't say for certain whether it would be eligible or not. It would likely not be eligible because typically there needs to be a burned structure on the parcel, and then the associated property around that structure would be assessed for some debris removal. I can get into the particulars of that, but typically flat work on a property like a driveway, a sidewalk that goes up to the front door, a back patio, those would be left remaining after we clear out all of the debris. Tennis court would likely be the same. And so it is situational dependent, but any resident in the burn area has the right to submit an ROE for a eligibility determination.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that, and appreciate you being with us as always, Colonel Saucer. Really appreciate it. Okay, I want to invite Jonathan Leong from DWP back on. There's a question from Martha Notaras. Martha is asking, basically, there was information put out, I think, previously by DWP regarding refilling water tanks, if they should be emptied, hot water tanks, and if that's the instruction, or should they follow the guidance that you outlined earlier. It seemed like there might be a disconnect between refilling the hot water tanks and some of what was outlined about, a shorter process earlier today during the webinar. Could you again reiterate what are the steps that people need to take tomorrow, since the water do not drink orders will be lifted? What do you need to do to ensure that your water is safe for you to utilize at your home?
Yeah, that was, again, an oversight. For the sake of time, I didn't get into the flushing of the hot water tank, but that is, again, a good recommendation. That should be done, something that is done annually anyway, but certainly with everything that's gone on, and, if a home hasn't been inhabited for a while and just getting sediments out of the hot water tank, it'd be a good idea to flush it. So thanks for pointing that out. So in addition to the flushing, please drain your hot water tank and refill it. That would be good.
Okay, excellent. We appreciate that. Very, very good. Okay, I'm seeing in the chat a number of questions regarding to passes and what time people with passes are able to enter into the Palisades. For example, there's a question from Howard Silberman asking, are Sea Ridge residents, residents, can they access Sea Ridge homes around the clock? This is for residents. So residents, yes, you can access your homes. Anybody in Sea Ridge or anywhere else in the Palisades, you can access your home anytime as you need to access your home. Now, there's another question about how early can contractors with a pass come into the Palisades to start working? So there is still a curfew in effect. And so we do recommend that contractors only arrive in the morning time, not during the wee hours of the darkness, but please do arrive, early if you would like, but after sunrise. That's for contractors and other employees. Residents can access at any point, but there is still a curfew in effect. So we do ask for folks to, go quickly directly to their homes. Hope that answers both Howard's question as well as a couple of the questions that I saw in the chat in regards to contractor access. I also see another question in this spirit from Anthony Meister. The question is there any plan to make it easier for residents to enter the Palisades without long waits? For example, separate car lanes, electronic passes like toll roads. We are absolutely interested in your feedback, both around the checkpoints in general and how long folks feel like that is needed, as well as in terms of the access points and issues around car lanes and so forth. If you have ideas, we are all ears. We are also working very closely with our partners at the Department of Transportation, our law enforcement partners at both the Sheriff's Department and LAPD to consistently address and try to mitigate any traffic issues. But we do appreciate feedback from all of the residents around the checkpoints. And of course, the checkpoints remain in place based on feedback from the Palisades residents. But if folks feel like we need to have greater access, that's the kind of feedback that we would appreciate hearing from all of you so that we can adapt and engage appropriately. And then I see another question regarding passes from Lee Mandel, asking if you had an occasional maid, what's the process for them to be able to get into the Palisades? That process is related to our pass distribution system. We are issuing passes at 3 different locations. The first one being at the Disaster Recovery Center. Again, that's located on Pico and Westwood. Again, that used to be the Westside Pavilion, now UCLA Research Park. Please go to that center and you're able to get a pass. Now, in order to get a pass for any individual who may be employed as a maid or any cleaning service, the actual individual needs to go to the pass distribution center and show proof of employment to be able to get that pass. The other locations include Malibu City Hall on Saturdays, as well as a satellite operation on Tuesdays and Thursdays that is open also in Malibu at a Santa Monica City College location in Malibu. If that is more convenient for you, both the Malibu locations as well as the City of Los Angeles location at the Disaster Recovery Center are available to pick up passes for both employees, contractors, and residents. With that being said, I will go ahead and pull up our next slide, which is in regards to frequently asked questions. If you have questions that are still outstanding, please go to our frequently asked questions page. You will get a lot of answers and you can quickly search for answers by using the find function. A lot of answers here from previous webinars and your neighbors' questions answered. If you haven't been able to come to all these webinars, we certainly encourage you to use this QR code as well as the link in the chat. You can go to lacity.gov to see all of these frequently asked questions and the answers. We try to keep that updated as much as possible, and we appreciate you providing your questions tonight, which we will attempt to answer as best as we can in our frequently asked questions document moving forward. Next slide. As was stated earlier, Mayor Karen Bass hosts these webinars every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. This coming Tuesday, March 11th, we will again be hosting another webinar with information that hopefully you can use and apply to your lives as we rebuild. So please do sign up or RSVP for the upcoming webinar through the QR code on your screen or through the link that is now being provided in your chat. I'm also seeing some questions about where do we provide the feedback. You are welcome to provide feedback through this webinar, and you can use the Q&A function, or you're welcome as well to call the mayor's office. You can find that number by simply Googling Karen Bass or Mayor Karen Bass, and you'll be able to call our office and give us the feedback about anything, including these webinars, as well as the passes. If you're interested in providing information about passes or traffic and access points, checkpoints, we deeply appreciate your calling our office. With that, I would like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. Please join the LA County Public Health Department's webinar right after this. The link is in the chat, and we'll be beginning in approximately 2 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will talk to you again on Tuesday. Have a good evening.